Okay, Chair, we're live on YouTube. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Placemaking at Exmouth Town and Seafront Group on Tuesday, the 9th of September 2025. I'm your Chair, Councillor Nick Hookway. I would also like to welcome anybody watching the meeting via live streaming. May I remind colleagues that the Code of Conduct applies throughout this meeting. We also reserve the right to remove and disconnect any participant who is disrupting the meeting by whatever means. Please turn any telephone devices off or to silent. In the event of a break in the internet connection, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. After 15 minutes, if we're not able to reconnect, we will consider the meeting adjourned and reconvene at a later date. Should you wish to comment, please raise your electronic hand and wait to be called. We will now start the meeting by doing a roll call of committee members here present. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. We'll start with yourself, Councillor Hookway.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Arnott is delayed. Councillor Hayward. Councillor Olive. Councillor Aurora Bailey.
Present. Thank you, Sarah.
Councillor Dumper. Councillor Gazzard. Councillor Ann Hall.
Present. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Councillor Davey.
Present. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Whibley. And from Exmouth Town Council, Councillor Deasy, please.
Yes, present. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. And Councillor Conduit is not present. Councillor Olive is just joining us now, just coming on the call. So I can confirm that we'll call it, Chair. I'll pass back to you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. That's good news. So agenda item 1, minutes of the previous meeting on pages 3 to 5 of your agenda. Do any members of the committee here have comments on the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 18th of March 2025? If so, please raise your electronic hand. If there are no hands raised, I will take it that you're happy that the minutes are received and noted. So, I do not see any hands raised. Thank you very much indeed. So we will go back and note those minutes. Right. So agenda item 2, apologies. Sarah, do we have any apologies, please?
No, we have none.
Thank you very much. Okay. So agenda item 3, declarations of interest. This will be done by roll call. When your name is called, please state your declaration, including which agenda item your declaration relates to, and state exactly what the interest is and your specific type of interest you are declaring. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. So again, yourself, Councillor Hookway, please.
So affects NRI, member of Exmouth Town Council and member of Devon County Council.
Thank you. Councillor Olive.
Present and no declarations from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Aurora Bailey.
Thank you, Sarah. And Exmouth Town Councillor. Thank you.
Councillor Ann Hall.
No declarations. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Davey.
Thank you. Affects NRI, Exmouth Town Councillor.
Thank you. And Councillor Deasy, please.
Sorry. Yeah, just member of Exmouth Town Council. Thank you.
Thank you. And are there any other councillors in the meeting who need to declare an interest for any of the items on the agenda, please? Okay, we have no hands raised, so I'll pass back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. So agenda item 4, public speaking. There are no members of the public registered to speak. Agenda item 5, matters of urgency. There are no matters of urgency. Agenda item 6, confidential or exempt items. There are no confidential or exempt items. So that brings us to agenda item 7, our main business of our meeting, the update report on the revised Exmouth placemaking plan from pages 6 to 46 in your agenda. And I'm going to hand over to Naomi Hartnett, the corporate lead for major projects and programmes, to introduce this item. Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you, Councillor Hookway. So as members of the PETS group are aware, we at E7 have been working with WSP, the consultants we appointed last year, to review the previous draft placemaking plan, taking on board comments received from a public consultation and from members when it was previously presented to the PETS group. We've also gone through a detailed exercise following stakeholder mapping, working with officers at East Devon District Council, officers at Devon County Council, as well as officers from Exmouth Town Council to provide feedback on the previous draft of the placemaking plan, as well as our workshop that we held at Exmouth Town Hall in July. And so we have David Thompson here today from WSP to provide a presentation on the revised placemaking plan, where we've got to so far. And there'll be an opportunity for you to raise questions, which David and I can take at the end of that presentation this morning, before we go into detail on our next steps on this project. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Naomi.
Would you like the presentation, Nick? Sorry.
Yes, please. Thank you, David.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Okay. Yeah, getting it up. Just bear with. I'm sorry, share it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me along to the meeting. I look forward to presenting an update on our revised draft. I'm not a regular Zoom user, so I'm hoping this is about to share. Is everybody able to see that?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm hoping as well everybody has had a chance to see an attached version of this placemaking plan update in its current draft. I believe that was circulated prior to the meeting. And can I just quickly check, is the audio okay for everybody?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Okay, smashing. Okay, I will start to run through the presentation. Has that page changed for everybody? Just yes. Okay, thank you. So the quick update report, very brief, and more emphasis on questions and answers, as Naomi's just suggested. If you could save those until the end, please, that would be appreciated, and we'll get through the presentation all the quicker. So it's a quick overview of what Naomi's just described, what we've been doing, who we've seen, and the timeline. Then a quick summary of the changes that we've made compared to the previous draft. And then an overview of that updated document, which you've had the chance to see. Then a quick summary of what the key priorities are in the updated document. And then a discussion on the next steps. They're not fixed, hence the word draft there. And that's something I think Naomi will expand upon, how we see things moving forward from here to endorsement of the document. Okay, thank you. I will launch straight in. Again, just checking that that slide has changed for everybody.
Yes.
Thank you. Right, good. So quick timeline. So as you will recall, there was a presentation of the previous draft to this group, at which you requested a further public consultation on the original draft. That was undertaken in March 2024. There was concern raised with some of the proposals in that document, and that led to a request back from this group to properly reflect on and change the Exmouth placemaking plan to respond to those changes. So we were re-engaged earlier this year to undertake a review of that public commentary and of the previous draft. We've undertaken various steps that Naomi outlined, workshops with officers and workshops with members, which many of you have been involved with. Thank you very much for your input to those. We've then reflected on the public feedback, the officer workshops, the member workshops, and fed that into a redraft. The bullet points down the right-hand side there really just summarise what we've done. We've listened, we've engaged, we have revised the project list, we've simplified the document, we're trying to just very much clarify the key messages and draw out the most important aspects. And we're also reflecting certain changes that have happened over time. The funding landscape has changed. There's less availability of funding. So we've really, that's reinforced the sort of the purpose of the document, which is an overall strategic direction for making a better place in Exmouth, rather than sort of the placemaking plan sets up the direction. It sets up some clear strategic objectives and some specific actions, but it inevitably requires funding, and it requires a number of those projects to be developed at some point in the future, at which there will be multiple opportunities for re-engagement and refinement of those projects. But it's setting an overall roadmap, and we've tried to deliver that roadmap in a more concise document, which I will now step you through. So as I just said, it's more of an emphasis on a framework document now. It is trying to summarize in a clear way the views and aspirations of all the people that we've engaged in the process. Very specifically, certain projects that were referenced in the original document, they tended to be the longer term projects, but were just not developed and should not have been included. So we have removed several of those projects, which everyone who's been involved in the sort of feedback process will be familiar with those. There was reference to decked car parking in a number of locations. There was suggestion of sort of moving assets like the leisure centre and changing the pavilion theatre. We've removed anything that sort of directly affected existing great, well-loved and well-used assets. And we've emphasised more on reuse and sort of better linking all the great things that Exmouth has got. That, I think, in summary, is our strategy. You've got wonderful assets, natural assets, built assets, heritage assets, culture and arts, and it's making the most of that, and principally through connecting things up and signing things more clearly. What we've aimed to do in the document is make more of an emphasis on prioritization rather than timelines. Previously, there was a short-term, medium-term, long-term. That is obviously a sort of slightly vague thing to apply to a long-term project. So as soon as you start to attach timelines, it sets the project, the plan to go out of date. So what we've done is change the emphasis to prioritization of projects rather than timelines. Okay, that's the overall changes. The diagrams on here are not meant to be read. I'm assuming that you have had a chance to look through the document. They're just thumbnails. But what this does do is show a refinement of the 5 overarching strategic objectives. There were previously 6. There was a little bit of duplication. So we've tried to simplify, streamline, as I say. So we've got these 5, and I'll briefly go through them now. And then on the subsequent slides, you'll see the revised action list, which many of you have specifically fed into the process of which actions we should remove from the previous draft, and which actions we should highlight and prioritise. So hopefully you will see those on the subsequent slides. But the headlines, the 5 strategic objectives, are around 5 distinct themes, we hope. So the first one, support development of sites within the town centre and on the seafront for complementary uses that meet year-round demand from visitors and residents. So that's really about making the most of existing assets. There's certain things you have got control of, certain things you haven't got control of, but it's identifying what you've got, joining things up as well as possible, encouraging the sort of the growth and activity of the town centre, and linking that as much as possible to the established assets along the seafront. The second area, strategic objective 2, is about enhancing the connections between those 2 principal assets, the town centre, the seafront, and other elements that the Exmouth placemaking plan describes and defines clearly. It is very much about making the most of what you've got. It's about evolution. I think there was a lot of use of the word transformation before. We are, over time, looking at a sort of if you like, a gentle transformation, but the emphasis now is much more on evolution, making the most of what you've got, protecting what you've got, securing the future of what you've got. In some cases, increasing the utilization of what you've got, trying to make more use, increase the vibrancy of certain areas, certain assets. So that's what's covered in area 2, and specifically about the wayfinding between those assets. We've described, and you're all aware of the challenge in some areas of town. You as locals know where everything is, but for the visitor, there are quite a few examples of you might be very close to something brilliant that you don't know about, but there's no sign to it, there's no clue from the public realm around you that you would go one way or another. So that a lot of the emphasis in 2 is on physical guidance to improve the connections between what's already around. Area 3 is around this idea of making use of underutilized assets, so promoting temporary activation, it's called, and meanwhile uses, which is specifically about identifying spaces and even creating some spaces to encourage that type of activity. It's an opportunity for local businesses to try things out, not be overcommitted financially, but just test ideas. It means there's a sort of changing program of events for people, so it's interesting for visitors and residents, and it's just a really clever way of using, again, things that you've got already, which you can make more use of. 4th strategic objective, promoting opportunities for more active lifestyles for residents. So that is partly about just the activities and the uses available within the town and the seafront, making sure that something for all aspects of the sort of resident group and visitors alike. But also that's including, there were quite a lot of actions previously and focus around promoting walking and cycling as obviously one fundamental way of encouraging a more active lifestyle. In general, there was quite a lot of sort of negative language previously about cars and over dominance of cars and that sort of thing. The emphasis is much more now on promoting a viable alternative and promoting the alternatives, the healthy and sustainable alternatives of walking and cycling in balance with the needs of the car, which are great in a town which has a sort of seafront and town centre that is quite distant from some of the outlying areas of town. So it's acknowledging you will need cars, you need to manage those, and it's more about the promotion of cycling and walking. Finally, the 5th strategic objective, to enhance and celebrate Exmouth's rich biodiversity and natural assets. And that's always been a strong element in the placemaking plan, and that's probably the one that's changed the least. That's about making the most of protecting, looking after and linking up and making more use of the natural assets within the town, seafront and surrounding area. Right, rapidly moving through this one, again, not very legible on the slide here, but that is an overlay of the sort of spatial implications of all those strategic objectives and actions, and quite clearly emphasising the fact that it is all about linking together the seafront, the town centre, the station gateway area, and other assets around the marina and stretching out to Orcombe Point. But it's all about making those links much clearer, emphasising what's there and encouraging more use of it. Quickly to go through the strategic objectives, I won't read every single one. We'll just run through what the headlines are for these. But these are the refined action lists, which specifically the members workshop we held went through these, identified certain ones that we thought either needed refining or removing. Others we heard people suggest should be included that we had maybe thought could be removed. So you should recognise here a reflection of that previous workshop, what was identified as priorities and which elements definitely to drop and some of which to include. In general, we've gone for fewer items, actions against each. And the detail behind this will follow in the strategic outline business case. So for each of the actions, there's an identified cost and a delivery plan. The delivery plan is in the draft document you'll have seen, but there is an extra layer of detail to follow in the strategic outline business case, which is also being updated. Strategic objective 2 is the one about connections and general environment of the town centre and the seafront. Strategic objective 3, one about temporary activation and meanwhile uses. Strategic objective 4, this is about the opportunities to promote walking and cycling and healthy lifestyles. And strategic objective 5 around the biodiversity and natural assets and making the most of that. Very quickly, to finish the presentation, summary of the key priorities. So it's very much about enhancing wayfinding and making the most of the existing assets you've got. Key to that is introducing a sort of clearer gateway to the town, the station area, and there's more detail on the projects associated with that. Making sure that the town centre is doing everything it should be, and that's making the most of the Strand and the activation and meanwhile uses within the town centre. And then that key link between the town and the seafront, again, which as a sort of non-resident, it's not obvious that there's this fantastic walk from the town centre down to the seafront. So better signing that, making the most of that. And then a key focus along the seafront is that Beach Gardens Queen's Drive space, which many of you are aware. There's already been some further exploration of what might be possible there. And finally, it's that greening opportunities throughout the town and seafront and linking to the wider area. Just to revisit that timeline, and this is where I'll sort of hand back to Naomi really, in terms of the onward timescale, but we are at that September 2025 update report. There is a follow-on meeting which will present the strategic outline business case. That's the SOBC reference there. And then there will be, and this is where the timing may perhaps vary, but this is the current outline plan, a further online public sharing of the proposed plan, and then a process of responding to that, updating the final version of the document, running that past all the groups required to head towards final endorsement of that plan. At this point, I'll sort of hand back to Naomi, but obviously happy to answer questions on the whole presentation and draft report. Thanks.
Thank you very much, David. And as we said earlier, very happy to take any questions on the draft that's been presented today. But this is not the only opportunity for us to discuss this plan at this meeting. It will be presented with the SOBC, the Strategic Outline Business Case, at a meeting in late October, ready for us to consider going out to public consultation in November and December for a 6-week period, and working to the timetable, which is as been presented by David.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Naomi. Thank you very much indeed also, David, for a very concise run through of the plan. I thought that was very, very helpful. Right. Okay. So members, do we have any questions, please? I don't see any hands at the moment. I don't know if that's right. So, Councillor Davey, Ollie, thank you.
Thought I'd get in there. Going through it, on the first item, which was just flicking back, strategic objective 1. in 1.2, you've got an idea of rationalisation of car parks. I just wondered if there are any sort of candidates in mind. I agree with perhaps reducing the number of car parks, but obviously we've got to still make them available. I accept that, and I just wondered if there are any possible candidates that we have kind of identified or possible areas that might be suitable for that. I've got a few other questions. 5.2, so that's strategic objective 5, number 2, was about enhancing the gateway at the station. Looks pretty good, actually. I was there yesterday. It's looking very vibrant. But you talk about a sort of public realm space which would have a view of the estuary, and I wondered where exactly that would go. On strategic objective 4, walking and cycling, which obviously I support, there already exists a walking and cycling map of Exmouth, which a colleague of mine has put a huge amount of work into, and she has refined it over the years to show which paths are actually suitable for walking, which are suitable for walking and cycling. And we desperately need more cycle parking, particularly in the town centre. I tried to park at M&S yesterday. That one is particularly well used. I couldn't actually park outside M&S. All the hoops were taken. But a little further along, there's a smaller cycle park, and there was one hoop left there. So we desperately need more availability of parking, particularly in the Strand and around the station area. I think that's all my questions. I hope you've managed to get those. Well, it's only one question really, or a couple, and a bit of information. Thank you.
Okay,
so
thank you. David, just before you answer that, can I just say I've got 2 other members, and I'm going to take them in the order of Councillor Dumper and then Councillor Bailey. Okay, thank you. So over to you, David. Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, in relation to the rationalisation of parking, that, as you correctly identify, is part of strategic objective 1, which is looking at, in the long term, opportunities for possible development sites. Yes, it has the benefit of offering a perhaps less bewildering choice of parking areas, but there's definitely an underlying principle that, and an understanding that we can't reduce the amount of parking overall. There's a really critical reliance on that parking for the success of the town. Specifically, no, we haven't included, the plan itself doesn't include specific suggestions of which of those car parks could be candidates for rationalisation. The action actually relates to undertaking survey work as a first step to understand the use of those car parks, which would then inform a sort of future strategy around that rationalising. So in specific answer to the question, no, there aren't specific candidates, but that is the sort of the underlying principle to see if there are opportunities both to improve the wayfinding, think about which are the best locations, and then identify potential development sites. In relation to the station gateway, and forgive me if I've missed a point between the parking and the gateway, I think that was your next point. It's a very good point. I think we have to be quite careful and may need to adjust the wording. The reference to the view of the estuary, I do believe may relate back to the previous plan that specifically I sort of cleared the space next to the station gateway on the area of the leisure centre. We definitely have removed that plan. What it should, we need to make it clearer. The connection to the estuary is really about just making people aware how close you are to that estuary edge as you arrive in the station gateway area. So it becomes one option from the station gateway area to be clear that there is one route you could take that takes you to the edge of the estuary and sort of around the coastline towards the seafront. So we do need to be quite careful with that wording there, and it's a very good point you raise. There is a view, but it's not about sort of clearing a space to create a view. This is about making it very clear that there's a connection, and then providing the sort of strategic objective there is to provide a path to the estuary. At the moment, you're just wandering through the car park or sort of picking your way between the back of the toilet block and M&S parking area. It's making the most of the fact that you are very close, and you could create a really positive connection there. So that's what that is about. I agree, the Gateway is a vibrant area. It's one of those things that it works, it's in the right place, it's close to all sorts of great things. There's just a few tweaks and adjustments needed to properly celebrate that as a gateway to the town. Absolutely acknowledge that there is brilliant work already done on the walking and cycling network. We do reference that in the document, and we need to just make sure that is as clear as can be. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel, excuse the pun. We're just trying to sort of hook into all the good things that already exist. And then, as you say, identify the specific missing links in that can be tweaked, improved, adjusted. Parking being a very valid point, cycle parking, I should say. So yeah, that's a really good illustration of the level we're trying to achieve. We're sort of actively flagging the very good points, and the next step, if you like, is to then go into the detail of what are the specific interventions that need improving.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Councillor Davey. So we'll now go to Councillor Dunbar. Tim, thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Yeah, I wanted to concentrate on 2 or 3 themes. One is getting everybody, all the stakeholders, public stakeholders, if you like, together and ensuring that we are working as a team. In the past, we've had quite a lot of shall we say, differences of opinion between county council and district council in particular. Those have sort of prevented some of our moving forward. So all the current 3 levels of local government, if you like, need to move in step. One of the areas that I was thinking about in relation to that was the whole thing of signage, because our signage, although there have been various times when we have tried to get a signage strategy together, it has always been at various levels. And I think that we need to rationalise that and make sure we have a team working on that together so that we don't get anomalies occurring. So I'm hoping that that is included in the programme. Another thing, of course, is people will know I'll bring up public transport anyway. And in order to ensure that we do reduce the congestion and reduce the amount and level of car use, if you like, because we're acknowledged as a high car use town, then we need to ensure that Stagecoach and other operators are working together and provide transport, particularly along the seafront, which we have been deprived of recently. So we need that. I'm on a different theme. The pedestrian, cycling and a wheelchair and other disabled access between the so-called gateway at the station and the Strand and the other parts of the town centre. I think we need to revive some of the ideas of crossings, and of course they currently are county council responsibility anyway, but we need to work on that to ensure we've got a good access to the middle of the town. And when we're talking about town centre, the other thing that was said was about improving and increasing business accommodation in town. And I'd be interested to know proposals and ideas how that might happen, because we have been suffering a lack of business accommodation, a lack of in town generally. That's all my points, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. David, do you wish to come back and just make any comment there?
I'll be very brief. Yes, thank you. Quick answer to the first question. Have we made reference to the need for the holistic approach to the signage strategy? Yes. And if that's not clear enough, we will emphasise the importance of that multi-party, multi-level holistic approach to the signage strategy. But definitely signage strategy is one of the key recommendations. In relation to public transport, that is again something we can ensure is clearer in the wording of the promoting active lifestyle strategic objective. We make specific reference in there to walking, cycling and wheeling. You're absolutely right that should make, and in the detail it does refer to the importance of public transport as part of that strategy. So we will ensure that that is picked up. And then I agree specifically the improvement of the route from Station Gateway, the Strand, Manor Gardens, Madeira Walk to the Seafront is very much about the missing links that I referred to earlier are very much about the crossings. And again, it's not going to be the detail in the plan itself, but it is setting up that sort of the framework for further effort and concentration and consultation on that route. But you're absolutely right. It's the crossing points that are the missing links. And the promoting business, there's a limit to what we can do specifically in the placemaking plan, other than the wider objectives of improving the general public realm. Specifically, we've got reference to making the most of the Strand and making sure that's working as it's meant to. And then again, I'll link back to the meanwhile activities. So the promotion of working with and supporting businesses and the sort of the landowners within the town centre to try and make use of existing underused premises and encourage those sort of temporary uses and meanwhile activities that will help reactivate the town centre. I hope that covers the key points.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you for your question, Councillor Dumper. So we now move on to Councillor Bailey. Aurora, your question, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, David and Naomi, for your presentation. It's very good. Thank you. My question, David, really is, I agree with all what's been said, but the parking at the seafront, obviously we don't want too many cars down there, but we have to take into consideration people with blue badges and disabilities. So is there going to be something down there for people that can't get down there on a bike or walk down there? I just wanted to mention that. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. David, did you want to make a comment? I can add to that, but I'm quite happy to hear what you have to say first.
Yeah, again, I'll try to be very brief. So previously there was reference to removing parking at the seafront. We've taken that out. So there is no longer a reference to removing parking at the seafront. It falls into that sort of the wider point that was mentioned earlier of just taking a look at the best way to provide and the best places to provide and looking at opportunities to rationalise. So we have taken out that specific reference with exactly your point in mind, Councillor Bailey, of the need for certain people, certain groups and parts of the community to always need some level of parking. So it's definitely removed that we have made reference to getting rid of parking at the seafront. But yeah, now it falls into that sort of next steps, rationalise, look at it, think about the best place.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you, David. Yes, just to add to that, we have, of course, seen some plans that were brought before, to councillors as a briefing, which suggested that a development of beach gardens could actually allow for some changes to disabled parking. So we are certainly considering that. The present time, that's outside the scope of the plan document. Okay, thank you. So moving on then to Councillor Anne Hall, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, David, for the presentation. Tim has covered quite a few things, which I had written down. One of my key priorities in certain areas is the separation of walking and cycling, because it's leading to a big conflict, especially around the Gateway site, where you've got that small, narrow link between or coming out of the train station and round to LED. That is quite crucial. If we're going to do something, that ought to be really looked at. And also down on the seafront, it's big conflict between pedestrians and cyclists. And to me, that is one of the biggest issues we've got, which is raised more often than not than anything else. So I'd like to see that dealt with. The crossings, obviously, if we actually had crossings which were automated, it would actually be a big win all round at the Gateway site to the train station and on Imperial Road, because you're actually leading people with an automated crossing over towards Manchester Road and down into the Strand, and you would stop all the traffic congestion by people just trickling across the roads all the time. So those two are really my key issues, along with the signage, which hopefully is holistic, because when I'm working down there in that area with Exmouth and Bloom, we're always being asked, how do we get to the seafront? How do we get to the town? There's nothing. And where is the bus station? It's so confusing for people who don't know. And these are the first impression people get of Exmouth. And it should be a positive one rather than confused. But I'm saying a lot better plan than what we had previously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Councillor Hall. David, did you wish to come back for that on those points?
Really, just again to emphasise the detail. I know it's really important detail to get those things right, like the conflict between walking and cycling. They will be covered as part. In effect, the framework sets up the brief for the projects that are the next stage. So the brief is definitely deconflict walking and cycling, and it will highlight the areas that specifically that is a problem. It's for the detail of the projects as they develop then to come up with solutions to actually deconflict the walking and cycling. But the principle is in the plan to deconflict walking and cycling, to promote walking and cycling, and to absolutely, as you say, address the sort of the confusion that some people experience at the station gateway of where to go, and the way that the public realm and the way that signage helps overcome that is captured in the plan. The detail of it is for the next stage, and there will be multiple opportunities for, as there has been on the emerging plans on Beach Garden and Queen's Drive Space, for this group to continue to be involved in sort of overseeing and reviewing and contributing to the development of those detailed plans that are the next stage. I hope that covers the key points.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you very much indeed, David. Yes, good. Thank you. And Tim, you have your hand up. Did you want a point?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just briefly picking up on one of the points that Councillor Hall rightly raised, which, and I know this from personal experience when I've tried to walk along the narrow route alongside the pool, and you've got cyclists close to the gateway. Yeah, big challenge. It was addressed as a big challenge. If you recall, as part of the successful levelling up bid, we included for in effect the infilling of the subway. By infilling the subway, you then can lose the fairly extensive ramps that go down to the subway and all the vegetation around it. So you would have created that very large space. Unfortunately, that part of a scheme then got dropped. As we know, the Dean and Way element of a scheme is progressing, and I saw that when I was passing by at the weekend, and that's obviously coming on well. But it was disappointing that element got dropped, and I suppose it's a tricky one because we are landlocked. You've got a building one side of you, and a subway the other side. So that's probably the more challenging part. But again, possibly improved signage might help. But actually, in terms of creating the space, we would struggle. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Tim. Right. Okay. So, Councillor Davey, Ollie, you have a hand up, please.
Yeah, just I did want to well, firstly say what an excellent plan I think this is, and it's been interesting to see how it's refined. I think the first iteration caused a certain amount of local panic. People thought they were going to use the pavilion and it was going to, happen next week. So I think, there's a lot more realism creeping into this. One thing that particularly excited me actually was point 4.3, which was to promote the use of the rail link as a park and ride system. I thought Tim might pick up on this because it's a long-held ambition for us to have a park and ride system, but we've always kind of thought in terms of the conventional park and ride, where you took a shuttle bus from somewhere fairly close to the town, but actually using the rather underused park and ride car park at Digby and Soughton. It's not a particularly pleasant walk from the car park up to Digby and Soughton station. I'd like to see some enhancements there, but it can be done, and it would be a great way for people to access the town. And speaking in terms of being aware you're next to the estuary, unless you've been looking at your phone all the way on the train journey, you can hardly be unaware that you are right next to the estuary, so long as you dare to look out the window. But there's no harm in making people aware how they can actually access that once they get off the train. But I thought that was a really nice bit of blue sky thinking, was to consider the use of Digby and Soughton as a park and ride using the train. It would have to be well integrated between, I don't even know, I don't know if it's DCC who own the park and ride car park. It is, thanks Nick. So there'd have to be coordination between them and the railway, possibly some kind of attractive fare, and obviously you'd have to have some kind of way of stopping people from just using that as a place to park. But I think that actually has some distinct possibilities, and as you rightly say, its readiness and ease of implementation are fairly high, and I think it could do a lot to help to reduce some of the traffic coming into the town if people realised they could access the town that way and not have to drive around the seafront or wherever trying to find a suitable place to park. Because one thing I mentioned is we need to somehow enhance the link between the station and the seafront, not just with better signage, but actually, a shuttle bus or something like that would be a good way to do it. But it's not that far to walk, and I did it yesterday. Actually, I was showing a visitor around the town, and we walked from the station over to the we actually stopped in the Strand, but yeah, I took her through the Manor Gardens and down to the seafront, and we walked along the seafront. It was a really pleasant walk, lovely day, of course. So those all need enhancing, but for those less mobile, we really need some kind of shuttle service between the station and the seafront to enable that kind of connection to be available as well. But overall, I think it's an excellent plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ollie. Yes, absolutely agree with you about what you say about the use of the Digby and Southern Park and Ride. I think it would absolutely enhance the visitor experience to Exmouth because it's a fantastic journey once you get out of Topsham. And it's a lovely little train ride, and it's quick and easy. And I think there's much to be gained there for everybody. So thank you for raising that one. Tim, you have your hand up. Councillor Dunbar, Tim.
Yes, thanks, Nick. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be right to say in answer to Ollie there that Nick, you and I have been advocating for that solution using Digby and Southern under the radar to a large extent for quite a while. It's always been my contention when I've heard the term park and ride used in relation to our town that there are no suitable sites or anything to be gained by setting up anything within the town's boundaries. I really don't think we can do that, and it won't take any pressure off our main routes into town. And it was for that reason that I originally thought about the Digby and Southern idea, and it is, as has been shown by this report, a bit underused, and we could take traffic direct off the motorway, etc., to bring them into Exmouth. And the other thing, of course, that wasn't mentioned, and I thought you might mention it there, Ollie, was the long-held ambition to have an integrated transport interchange with buses in the station area. And although you mentioned shuttle bus to the Seafront, which is obviously an important thing, now we've lost our 95 route to most of the Seafront, then there are other places that could be linked into this as well. Anyway, I deliberately didn't mention that, but I have now, so there we are. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, okay. Yes, thank you, Tim. Yes. So I think, going back to the Digby and Southern rail route, I think that if we can encourage more people to use that will benefit the railway business, that will encourage investment, and that will, I think, encourage competition coming in later on. I'm quite sure that the bus company will take note of what's been offered there, and we compete. And much of the plan, I think, is to do with providing opportunity, removing any form of uncertainty as to exactly what we want to see in the town and how we want to benefit from it. And I think there will be businesses who will see that now we have a clear plan of how we want to use the public realm, and that's really, really important. Right, so I don't see any other hands up, so I will say thank you very much indeed, David, for your presentation. I have to say that I was very pleased in reading the plan. It is a much more cohesive plan. I particularly liked two sections. One was the vision page. I thought that was very well set out and identified the strengths of the town, which we can use and develop. And the other point, which I thought was very good, was the section 5 at the back of the delivery, because again, we must be able to reassure those who wish to invest in the town that this is the plan for the next 10 years. This is how we see things developing, and we welcome people taking part and investing within our town. And I think there are some very real opportunities for Exmouth on the seafront, because we have a fantastic location. And we really must make the best use of it and make sure that we achieve economic growth, but economic growth within the bounds of the plan. Okay, so, right, Naomi, did we wish to say any more?
Okay, thank you very much, Nick, for your comments. We're very pleased with the progress we've made since the previous version of the placemaking plan. So our next steps is that we are going to be presenting a consultation version of the placemaking plan and the associated strategic outline business plan to pets in late October. Exact date to be confirmed. I'll be arranging that with Sarah now she's back from leave. We're then planning for a public consultation in November and December for a 6-week period. And during this time, we're also going to be working with Exmouth Town Council and Devon County Council to seek endorsement from their members. As has been raised in this meeting, we need to have everyone engaged and signed up to this placemaking plan to help us all move forward in the right direction. With adoption by East Devon District Council in February, March 26, and then we can start working on the projects.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. So are there any further comments from members? Okay, in that case then we will bring our meeting to a close. Please remember your comments may still be heard until we have been officially. Thank you indeed.